Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Raisa Lopez. I am ISV Account Manager at IAG. We're pleased to have you here with us today to learn more about AcuContainer and how we are closing gaps within Acumatica. This will be a brief presentation to demonstrate general functionalities. Keep in mind this module has a lot more functionality. If there's a need that is not covered today, please make sure to respond to my follow-up email and I'll make sure to set up a one-on-one call with you. I also want to encourage you to type in any questions at any time and we will address them at the end of the call. Here are some of the common challenges that we hear from organizations, and essentially they're after visibility. They want to know what's in transit, where it is, and they want to better understand status and ETA of a container. They want to know what POs are on a container or across containers, help with landed costs and allocating costs as well. And today we'll show how we are addressing all of these challenges with our module, AcuContainer. But before we get started, I wanted to give a little bit of an introduction to who IIG is in case we haven't worked together yet. We have over 25 years of experience in business process management solutions. Our skilled development team has successfully published 16 Acumatica enhancements, and we also offer custom programming services as well. 2 of our modules were acquired by Acumatica, Acumatica's point of sale and AcuGmail. 9 of our enhancements have successfully earned certification by Acumatica as well. And here is a review from one of our partners, Rich Wood at the Answer Company. And I wanted to share one more as well. This is a review that we received from Dean Slater at DSD. And we have a lot more reviews that you can check out on our website. I'll go ahead and share a link in the chat so you can follow up on those on your time. Again, please feel free to type in questions at any time and we'll address them at the end of the call. With us today is Alec Bagdasarian. He is our Chief Solutions Architect. Alec has earned Acumatica's MVP award 3 times and is the Chief Designer of every enhancement that we publish. With that being said, I will turn it over to you, Alec.
Great, thank you, Raisa. So I'm Alec Bagdasarian. I want to start by thanking you for joining us today. So basically, we published AcuContainer to give you visibility over approved purchase orders, and from the point that you approve them, pick them up from the factory floor until you receive it in your main warehouse. So a container transaction generated in the system, created in the system, could contain a complete PO, line item, or certain lines of a PO or partial quantity of a PO line. As you add an item, we'll show you that line item, how many quantities in that container, how many you have in other containers, what's in transit, so we give you visibility over that line of item of PO. We allow you to enter your landed cost invoices into the container transaction, where we'll go and allocate them to line items. So unlike Acumatica, you don't have to wait till the product is received to enter the landed cost transactions. At any time you get an invoice, you can enter it. You will see the impact of that invoice on your cost, your landed cost. For situations where your FOB is foreign dock, you own the product when your broker picks up the product or when it's underwater, we allow you to receive that inventory into an in-transit warehouse. So you receive the inventory in transit warehouse at the PO cost, and that transaction gets fully reversed when you receive the product in your main warehouse. So we also let you link a custom classification code to a stock item in Acumatica stock item form, and based on that, we will auto calculate the duty and tariff based on the country of origin and the custom classification link for every item in that container. We also have a QC module that if needed, every product will go into the QC when you receive it, and you can deal with it at that point. We also have an integration with a product called Vessel Finder that at any point will show you where that container, when that vessel is underwater. On the roadmap is an enhancement that would allow you to allocate inventory to container to the different sales orders that we have. At any point, it would show you what's in that container and what quantities have been allocated to other sales orders and what is available to be allocated to new sales orders. So this is the setup screen of the landed cost container tracking enhancement. So we allow you to enter settings like auto calculate custom duty, allowing transit processing, to change the purchase orders, promise to request a date based on actual or expected date that you have on the container. This is the stock item form of Acumatica, and you can see we add the custom classification code, and for the custom classification code, you enter both the duty percent and the tariff by country. So now we're looking at a container transaction, container number 64, and in it, it has items coming from this PO, 2 items. Notice that in the header, we track the quantity that is coming your way, the total cost, total weight, total volume, duty, landed cost, tariff, all the information. There's some other fields here in the header that are used to create generic inquiry views, create emails. Notice we allow you to track the activity for the container. So attachments, so if you have the different documents, broker documents that you want to track for that container, we let you enter and store them there. And here we're looking at the dates tab. So you can see there's a lot of dates, and again, mostly informational with the exception of actual or expected arrival date that can update your PO's ETA and promise date. But the rest of the information, the container type, the destination code, the freight forwarder, the logistics service if you're using, factory ready date, container loading date, cargo ready date, and so forth. So these are all dates that are available to you to use and create generic inquiries and alerts based on those settings. Here are your landed costs that you've entered for that container, so you can enter as many when you want. And if you enter an invoice number and a vendor number when the container transaction is generated, a PO receipt is generated, we also create all the AP transactions for any landed costs that you enter. Vessel Finder, as I mentioned, we integrate with it. It will show you where that vessel is on a map. Basically, the charge that Vessel Finder has about $0.01 for each time you look up a container's location on the water, so you can see if it's still in China, if it's sitting in Los Angeles port and Long Beach port. You can print the container transaction. This is the in-transit posting in an optional feature that if you decide to use, you can post the inventory to an logical warehouse and in-transit warehouse. And that could be set up by vendor, by country of origin, by your destination warehouse. There are different settings for that. This is the IN transaction in Acumatica that gets created. Tally entry, so when you receive the product in your main warehouse, you can open up the container and enter what products are in that container. And from there, you can update the container transaction. Container distributions allows you to enter an invoice that applies to multiple containers. So maybe your insurance bill for the month applies to 10, 20 containers. You can enter them all in here, and then that entered expense would get allocated to every line item in every container that you define. This is the PO receipt transaction generated from the container, and of course the landed cost transactions that get generated. QC functionality, if that applies to your operation, you can do that. Now here I want to show you how in inventory allocations we add a tab called containers. I will show you for that item, for that warehouse, what containers are coming your way, the quantity of the containers, and you can of course drill down. As you know, this screen is also accessed from the sales order entry when you're looking at the sales order inventory availability information. So at any point you could see for the item that you're entering a sales order for, what container it's on. As part of this enhancement, you also get sales order containers. And what this does, it allows, let's say you have a situation that you send a container a week to Canada or Brazil or Argentina or Australia. From the sales order shipments, you can load items into this sales order container. It lets you print a bill of lading for what are all the products that are in that container, and you can manage it with those that functions. So I'm going to bring up the actual program, and I'm going to start the demo in the PO container screen. So as you can see, you can create different views: arriving this week, what's in terminal, what's in the planning stage, in transit. I click on plus sign to create a new container record. So container numbers can be set up to be auto-assigned. A container can have products from one or multiple vendors, so vendor number entries is an optional feature. You can use it or not use it. The container number, this is informational. You enter in here. The statuses are user definable. You can have statuses in planning, overseas transportation, inland transportation, foreign dock. And again, you could create your generic inquiry views, your pivot table based on all the information that you enter here. The freight forwarder, who's the freight forwarder for it, what type of container it is, 53 foot, 40 foot, and so forth, logistics service company, and the destination port being LA or so, and then the number for the vessel finder to find it, a description. So these are some header fields that are available, as I mentioned. In addition to that, you have a whole bunch of the fields in here that you can enter for that container expected departure. So you can say it's expected to leave on May 10th, and expected arrival is 0/20/2022. And of course, as time goes by and it actually arrived here, you can enter the dates in here. A lot of this information are available to it. On the details tab of it, we load the items. Now you can load items into this container, either a complete PO, just select the PO, two check boxes. One, you tell the system what check POs and whether or not you should load the quantities is fully included, or is zero, load the line with a zero quantity and you load the quantity. Or instead of just doing it at a PO level, you can enter this information at the line item level, and you can enter from which PO what line items are included in that container and receive it as such. So you can sort things and so forth and so on. In here, I created a couple of purchase orders so we could go ahead and receive them. I've entered a couple of items on each one. So the entry of the PO is the same function that you would perform in the Acumatica. We don't modify that. And so what I did, I just selected two POs. I'm going to select the quantities as yes, they're all quantities that are on those lines that are coming our way. Otherwise, you can enter any quantity that you want. I'm going to do an add and close. So you'll see that you've loaded. Now you can, in a PO, you can have items coming your way from 50 purchase orders, 40 purchase orders, hundreds of lines. Notice we also give you the ability to load the information from an Excel. So if your broker gives you an Excel that contains all the items that are in that container, you can import it. You don't have to enter them one by one here. So for the selected items, system auto calculates your customs and duties and so forth. It will do that for us. So you'll see those. We did not enter a country code. That's why I did not load the tariff. Otherwise, we could easily do that as well for us. And then where it gets the information is when you click on the line item. You would see that we have this custom classification code that is linked to the stock item of Acumatica. That kind of, if I click on this edit mark in Acumatica, it would take me and show me what the duty is and what the tariff is by country, Canada, China. There is a tariff for that custom classification code and what step. So that this information is used to basically load the landed cost entry. Now, if there's additional landed cost entries, I can add them here. For example, if I want to do insurance or freight charge, merchandise processing fees, and so forth, I can enter them here. I can enter the vendor invoice number, and they basically As I'm done with this, the system will also allocate this to the line items. When I look at the line item, I will see what the unit cost is on the purchase orders, what the amount allocated is of the insurance, what's the duty, tariff we didn't do it, and there's of course other fields that are available that you can enter and maintain in the system. Vessel info, as I mentioned, we you know, if you subscribe to Vessel Finder, we'll show you where that vessel is and on. So basically, this is what it goes, what's needed to, it goes into creating the container transaction, and from this point on, this inventory is stored in Acumatica, and it would show up on your inventory availability screens and so forth. And of course, you can come back and change the status when it's a foreign dock or when it's customs. You change the status accordingly. The same way you come in here and enter dates when the actual run, maybe it does leave on 05/2022, and when it gets here 28/2022, and you can start loading all the dates in here and on and on. And so these are all available information. As I mentioned, you can have all your attachments here, your custom forms can be linked either here or at the document level. You know, your letter of credit documents, activity that you want to maintain for this container. You're sending an email, you're receiving an email, all of that is tracked specific for this container. So you'll see all your communications with your broker. Perhaps the next thing you would do for this would be doing some other functions like doing the in-transit register, where you can select the container and basically have it post to the in-transit warehouse. So notice that it shows these quantities. You could do that and it will post it. Some of the other things you could do is, we talked about tally entry, we talked about distributions, where you would basically be able to enter an invoice that belongs to multiple containers. So you could do that in here, and when you select that container, it will show you all the containers that are available that are not on hold, and you can decide which one you want to allocate the entered expense into. Tally entry would let you open up and enter the quantities. And of course, when you're done with all this process, you could come in here and basically select it, and from here, generate the PO receipts. So very easy process to give you visibility over where the product is in the water. Have Vessel Finder show the exact location. If you receive an invoice, to enter the system and have it get allocated to the item, post it into an in-transit warehouse. So both on your financials and in Acumatica's inventory valuation report, see what products are coming your way. And this is what I was mentioning, that when you're doing a sales order, you could basically, in the sales order, as you're entering a sales order and you add an item that is in the container, you could easily come to here and let's go through the process of, and if you click on inventory item availability of Acumatica, we're in the sales order entry program, it would take you to the screen where it would show you what are all the containers, and you can drill down and see the containers. So very easy to set up. We will give you import scenarios to bring your custom classification codes in, and it'll give you the ability to link a custom classification to inventory item. And as I mentioned, to give you the ability to create container transactions based on vessel bill of lading and on. So this is quickly what I wanted to cover. If there's any questions, I can answer. If not, then just from PO containers, once you click on PO receipt, a PO receipt gets generated, which information is handed back to the PO module of Acumatica based on what you've entered. And now we would be in the PO receipt program with the line item. Of course, we will create PO receipt for each vendor on that container. So if you had 10 different vendors that their products were coming to in that container, you'll have 10 different PO receipts generated. Of course, the landed cost would get allocated to each receipt generated, PO receipt transaction generated accordingly. And again, the nice thing about it is this program not only gives you visibility over to total landed cost based on the invoices that you receive, it also allows you to enter them as you receive them. And when you generate the PO receipt document and you release it, we would basically go ahead and also create your all your landed cost transactions for you. So if you click on the landed cost, you will see the landed cost transactions got created for that container. So this is all I wanted to cover, Arisa. If there's any questions I can answer.
Thank you, Alec. I don't see any questions here. Can give you a few minutes to see if anybody wants to type anything in. And also, as a reminder, I will be sending a follow-up email. So if you think of anything then, we would be glad to have a one-on-one call with you to answer the questions. Okay, I don't think anything is coming in, Alec.
Thank you, Arisa.
So thank you everybody for your time. And I will be sending that follow-up email, and we're here whenever you have any questions of any of our products. We'll be happy to set up a one-on-one call with you anytime. Thank you.
Bye.